coming. Central Manchester, this is Soul Nation.
Do not attempt to adjust your rhythm.
Radio stations in the northwest now outnumber legal stations by 2 to 1. Most of them are run by inner city groups who are prepared to risk prison, fines, and the confiscation of their equipment. Some stations are short-lived. Others invest in sophisticated equipment and are determined to survive. One of them is Soul Nation in Manchester, created and managed by Tony Stevens, also known as T2 Bad.
The actual concept for Soul Nation started 3 years ago, but it's been on air for over 2.5 years.
Good afternoon, Soul Nation.
There was a massive gap in the market. Other stations who were playing music, I don't know who for, but it wasn't for the majority of the people who I knew anyway.
I've been listening to Soul Nation for about 2 years. I found it by accident on the radio dial and I've been listening to it ever since. I tend to listen to it more often than not when I'm working. The music's of a tempo that's nice to work with. I do listen to other radio stations, but nothing about anywhere near Soul Nation.
Well, I'm sorry, but I'd just run them out of town. I mean, you don't have unlicensed ambulances plying for trade around the streets. If I wandered into a hospital and started taking somebody's appendix out, I'd be prosecuted. You don't have unlicensed dentists. Why should these people just string a bit of wire out of a block of flats somewhere in Manchester and call themselves a pirate radio station?
I listen to Soul Nation, Manchester. That's a good radio station. I like pirate radio stations because they were like more underground. They hit the scene more.
I don't believe there is a place for pirate radio stations. I feel that it's unfair that there isn't a level playing field. We have to work very, very hard to get our licenses, and we have to keep fighting to get them back every 8 years. If somebody comes along and just opens up a transmitter, that's hardly a fair and level playing field.
Fletcher Moss as a junior football club relies on sponsorship from people to help us fund the needs of these young boys who wish to play football regularly at least once a week. And without people like Tony and Soul Nation, we wouldn't be able to survive.
We've taken a lot of advice setting up the station from people who've done ILR radio most of their lives. The operation which we have here, whilst not being as obviously upmarket as a legal entity, as far as I'm concerned, will far outstrip any of your so-called pirates around the country. I think unlicensed broadcaster is more of a fair comment for Soul Nation. I believe that the people who are at Soul Nation now want success bad enough to go to almost any lengths to gain that success. Success for us is gaining a legitimate license of a wide enough broadcasting area so we can do ourselves justice. Being raided is a constant worry for us. That's why we invest thousands of pounds in equipment, quality equipment, to try and outfox the DTI.
I think pirate radio since the early 1970s, certainly land-based pirate radio, has been a history of cultural omission. And if you trace the pirates from, say, Invicta and JFM in the 70s, right through to the current pirates, there's a history of soul music and black urban dance music in general that's been omitted by the legal channels of broadcasting. I think pirate radio should exist when it's fulfilling a cultural need or tendency that the legal channels aren't fulfilling. It's as simple as that.
On the day of its second birthday party, just as the year is coming to an end, Soul Nation's worst fears are realised.
Here's where the DTI were trying to get in. He was using sledgehammers and battering rams and all sorts. We had to nail back on bits of wood here, as you can see it's all chipped off there. But these are like £400 security doors. And they were there for about 15 minutes to try to get through and all that. But they've been there all day, so eventually they were let in, you know, save themselves injury and all that. I received a phone call at home. There was a raid actually taking place. So I jumped in the car, made a couple of phone calls and flew down here to find out exactly what had happened. When I got here, it was like full of police and DTI and all that. They had on flat jackets and God knows whatever side was going on for some massive drugs raid or something. I just witnessed them taking all the equipment, like tagging it, putting it in bags. It was like bordering on the ridiculous actually. It was like taking the clocks off the walls and posters that had nothing to do with the station.
Our job in policing the airwaves is to go for the source of the transmission and remove it, either by taking the transmitter itself, dealing with the aerial, or indeed finding the studio that the pirates use. When we get a call of interference, this is the sort of vehicle that we send out. And in the front of the vehicle here is a direction finding display, and that helps us find where the pirate radio transmitters are, because the direction takes us in the signal strength.
This is a monitoring receiver. It's a Doppler DF which gives us the direction the signal's coming from, and then a signal strength meter which tells us how close we are.
I have with me some typical examples of pirate radio transmitters. This is one completely encased in a traffic cone, and the idea of this is it gets put in a stench pipe and the wide part of the traffic cone makes it lodge there, but it's the crude technology in the transmitter itself which causes the problems. This is a pirate radio transmitter completely encased in a biscuit tin. And again, the similarity between this and the other transmitter is its crude technology, won't stay on the frequency, causes interference to other radio services, and that's why we have to take action. Pirates do cause interference to emergency services, and there are real instances of interference to airports, to instrument landing systems at airports, to police services, to fire brigade services, and indeed to some of the utilities.
Fire services nationally use two bands, low band VHF operating in AM and FM modulations, and the UHF band operating in FM modulation. In the Greater Manchester area we do not have any interference problems from pirate radio stations.
We do not cause interference. We've got categoric proof and evidence, and anyone who's got any evidence to the contrary, please bring it.
Greater Manchester Ambulance Service has never had any problems with pirate radio stations interfering with any of our airwaves. The service has never been approached by the DTI or questioned about interference by pirate radio stations. We have had interference recorded by taxi companies, and this is particularly during the peak taxi hours, say Friday, Saturday night, and we have had problems of interference then, and we have had to work hard to get around that. Instead of using voice, we're looking to use data transmission. This is where information will be sent via a computer in the control centre directly to an ambulance computer that is located on the dashboard of the ambulance vehicle.
Soul Nation's equipment is built by somebody who builds the BBC's equipment, so our stuff is as good as theirs. The emergency services categorically state that Soul Nation has never ever interfered with their transmissions. So if the emergency services has never complained about us, and the DTI claim they only act on complaints, obviously the complaints have got to come from somebody who's got a vested interest in removing us off the air.